Alright, so let me try to give you guys some context for this. So, when I was about 10 years old, give or take, I would definitely say that this was the peak for my love of superheroes. And also at this time, my friends basically created this stand in for the Avengers, which they named the Fist. Now, the Fist was basically a superhero team filled with their own superheroes and I basically wanted to create a superhero so that that superhero could be in the Fist as well. Another reason why I wanted to create a superhero is because at the time I was reading this book series titled Captain Underpants, and in this there are two kids who make a superhero, so that could also be something that inspired me to make one. With these two inspirations, I actually got to start brainstorming the idea of what the design would be and what the name would be. At the time, giving my superhero the name Lightning Rod, and this was the design that he was going to have. It wasn't until one fateful day, however, in fourth grade, that I got my hands on comic book panel paper, and that's when I gave a much better design to Lightning Rod, now dubbing him Shock Surfer, and finally making my first ever comic book. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's just get into it. Anyways, where this story starts is in 1991. Now, why this story takes place in 1991, I honestly have no idea. I think it's because I didn't want this story to take place during the actual time I was making this. I mean, it's either that or I actually thought that there's nothing happening in 1991, which, I mean, makes sense. Anyways, we're told that William, Shocksurfer's true identity, and his wife were scientists, and the criminals had been roaming the streets, and that William wanted to find some way to save the city. He just didn't know how to. If this kind of all comes out of nowhere and probably comes off as bad foreshadowing, then yeah, you have to remember I made this when I was 10 years old and I didn't really know what the word subtle meant. So, if a lot of stuff in here happens randomly or feels out of place, that's why. After this, though, we see two robbers who break in to the same place William and his wife were working at. And in this page, it probably just means that these two criminals were going to probably tamper with the electric eel tank. I mean, that's what I got from then a robber broke inside and made it more electrifying. Anyways, though, after this, as you would expect, the electric eel tank blew up with one of the criminals right in front of it when it happened. After this, though, we see William really distraught over this, though. And this is probably because the electric eel tank we saw him and his wife working on in the start of the book was also the one the criminals blew up. Even after William tells his wife about it, though, she doesn't really care, even though she was also working on it with William. Now we get a shot of Science Place. Nope, I'm wishing I made this stuff up. And we see William storming in there, clearly angry. And then when you think things couldn't get worse, William trips on a skateboard and then immediately falls in. I definitely have to say that, like, William is surprisingly unlucky in this entire comic. I mean, first he had the electric eel tank he was working on get destroyed, and, now he's getting electrocuted by another electric eel tank. And just, wow. Finally, though, we get to see the villain after all this time. You see, one of the criminals tells the other one that it was the best the doctors could do, and that was all he said. All he said was that it was the best they could do, which probably meant that they were in a hospital and that it probably was the best the doctors could do. And what the doctors actually did weren't much, because when the criminal looks into the mirror, we see that tornadoes are growing out of his head, and where his hair should be, there's just wisps of his hair left. We also see now that his face is completely white. Yes, I know I haven't used any colors throughout this entire comic, but his face is supposed to be completely white. And now with the addition of sharp teeth and a unibrow, now usually, all these things would stop a normal person from doing anything, but now the power to control tornadoes, this once normal criminal now was a supervillain, and he named himself Thunder. Now, you may be asking yourselves, why is a villain that's main powers is tornadoes named Thunder? Well, actually, a pretty interesting story. You see, back then, I was really into the song named Thunder. Yeah, I think you see where I'm going with this. And because I really like that song, I thought that I would make my main villain in this book, in this comic, the name of that song, Thunder. And because it also worked, Shocks are for lightning and thunder, the sound of lightning. I know that kind of sounds ridiculous, but honestly, I really like it. It's a nice little explanation. Now, we finally get a look at how William's doing, and he wakes up in a completely random spot. I don't know where he is, in all honesty. And he can't control his powers. And while this is happening, Thunder and his new partner are basically watching William using his powers in some, like, camera thing. And after this, Thunder decides to kill his partner. And, man, RIP. Rest in peace, nameless criminal we will probably never get the name of again. Anyways, though, after this, a news reporter claims on TV that Thunder is currently destroying the city. Now, William sees all Thunder's doing, and while William can't control his powers, we established that before, he only just got his new lightning powers. I think that now, we gotta, okay, we know that in the first panels of the book that William, he always wanted to save the world, he just didn't know how to. So now, with the powers he has, even if he doesn't know how to use the powers, he'll probably still try to do whatever he can to save the world. So that's what I got from this. Anyways, though, William and Thunder fight it out, and as you'd expect, Shock Surfer, yes, Shock Surfer, gets the upper hand on Thunder. Although you think that everything would be going good. Shock Surfer now just defeated Thunder. Although, real shocker here, William's wife, yes, Shock Surfer's wife, divorces him. Yeah, she straight up just leaves him. I. There's a reason for this. I made another comic. It kind of explains this, but for right now, yeah, she just leaves William. Anyways, though, William, after all this, gets a, gets approached by a man who tells him if he wants to join a superhero team called the Fist, and William, with nothing else to do, gladly accepts. And that's the end. So yeah, if you're a little confused, then let me remind you that in the start of the video, I told you guys that a couple of my friends had created this basically superhero team called the Fist, and I wanted to create a superhero that superhero could also be in the Fist. Although nothing really went with the Fist storyline, so I actually started to make a completely independent story with Shock Surfer, and it turned out pretty well. I would definitely love to show you guys all the comics I've made of Shock Surfer and his adventures, but I would honestly be lying if I said that this didn't take a lot of time to make. The reason that I'm making this type of video is because I just recently hit 50 subscribers, and I thought, I'm halfway to 100 subscribers, so I might as well do something special for you guys. Anyways, though, why I'm in a different location is because oh oh okay, yeah, that's why. Yeah, well, that's my cue. Peace out. Oh man, where's Derek? He was just here a second ago. Is he still recording that video? Well, if you guys enjoyed watching, whatever video Derek was making, then, I hope you guys enjoy. Bye, I guess.